successful program and a successful strategy in the district, and we had determined that this year we were planning for expansion for the next year in at least 2 languages, and we're going to hear an exciting update that is going to exceed your expectations. So I'll pass it over to the 2 of you.
Thank you, Superintendent Smith. I will only add to that introduction that I am extremely happy to have Debbie serving in this role. She is celebrating today her 2nd full week on the job. So celebrate with her and recognize that the limitations of background knowledge that may come into play as we discuss this with you tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for lowering those expectations. Today I want to share with you, as you said, an update as to where we are, with an acknowledgement that the materials that I shared with you ahead of this meeting are very raw, and we are in the midst of a work. We haven't landed on a specific decision. We just have a direction of which way we want to go. So before I open it up to questions, I do want to give a little context for our viewers of what we're talking about when we're looking at dual language expansion and why we look into that. So I think we have a nifty graph coming up. I hope we do.
Oh, open the laptop.
Oh, sorry, it doesn't do it by itself. Thank you.
Welcome,
okay.
Debbie.
So what we're looking at here is the work of Virginia Collier and Wayne Thomas, which has been replicated by many, and this is a longitudinal study into the different programs that English language learners can participate in and the different outcomes that those programs yield for English language learners. At the top, the 2-way dual and the 1-way dual immersion programs, those are the programs that have seen the greatest academic achievement for our English language learners. That line at the 50, those are norm curve equivalents, and that's all complicated statistics. But at the line at the 50 shows us where the average child achieves. And so we see that students who are English language learners tend to underperform your average student, but students who participate in dual language programs, whether they're 2-way or 1-way, have outcomes that are much greater than those. We know that those are true for English language learners, but they're also true for the native English speakers that participate in those programs, that their outcomes exceed the average outcomes of students who do not participate. So this is compelling evidence that yields us to want to look at serving our English language learners under this model, aside from the fact that we know we want our English language learners participating in world languages and becoming world citizens. Okay, that's enough of that. Oh, thank you. So in November of 2012, I believe you received the last update from my predecessor talking about the expansion committee that was going to be meeting. I was a part of that committee, and we have met, and you have before you the interim recommendations for expansion. We did decide that it was critical to expand in 3 key languages, and that is Spanish, Chinese, whether it be Mandarin or Cantonese, and in Vietnamese. So we are moving forward with feasibility studies as to where we might be able to expand in those languages. The other concern that came before the committee was the underrepresentation of our African American students in our dual language immersion programs, and that was also something that we wanted to correct because we know that this kind of effort would help us close the achievement gap for our African American students as well. So we know what we want to do. We want to expand in those 3 languages. We know that we need to land on some more concrete decisions by the end of October to be in line to start in the fall. And then as we look at how we're going to expand these programs, we have been engaging our community partners so that we can have their participation to land on the best way to serve our different populations. I believe you're aware that there was a grant from the Oregon Department of Education for dual language immersion programs, and we are applying for that grant and looking at using those particular grant funds specifically for the Vietnamese program. We know that expansion in Spanish would be a duplication of programs we have. We know that we have quite a bit of funds for Chinese, and so we are very hopeful to be able to secure these particular funds specifically for the expansion of the Vietnamese program. And before I take some questions, I do want to introduce you to Reverend Joseph Santos Lyons. He is the Executive Director of APONO, and he is going to share his perspective on our decision to move forward with these programs.
Hi, good evening. So thank you so much, Debbie. I also really wanted to thank Melissa and also Michael Bacon for all their work behind the scenes, as well as Superintendent Carol Smith. And it was also really great to have Steve Buell and Pam Knowles at a dinner on Friday, I hope I'm not missing anyone, and Bobby with the Asian American community as well as the Vietnamese community folks from around the region. I just want to say a few things. First, APONO is the Asian Pacific American Network of Oregon, and we are strongly supportive of the board's decisions to pass a racial equity policy and to really focus on dual language immersion expansion for many of the reasons that Debbie has outlined, and that we've been engaged in this process since 2004, when the last sort of substantial report was produced by the district. The Vietnamese development is very positive, we believe, not only for the Vietnamese community, but for all of Portland. And you've heard testimony, you've had signatures. It's really energized the Vietnamese American communities here in Portland. And just a few words about the demographics. There are over 200,000 Asian Pacific Islanders here in Oregon, and growing very fast. And in the Portland metro area, there are over 160,000 Asian Pacific Islanders. The Vietnamese community is one of the largest communities here in the region, and for most of the last generation, they have been the top 3 English language learner language in Portland Public Schools. There are over 12,000 Vietnamese ELLs in the Portland metro area of all ages. So we really see that this program will have a wide-ranging effect not only for the community but also for business opportunities in Asia, as well as supporting sort of the cultural preservation of the Vietnamese American language and communities. And this is a benefit that I just want to highlight for a moment, just that we really see our families as really a core part of our community. And that academic achievement, yes, is very important, but so is sustaining the culture. And that we've heard so many stories from folks in the community about how language is a really key aspect of being able to sustain their culture. And that by allowing the young people to really learn, particularly young people who may be facing some academic barriers to success, not only will improve their outcomes and get them through school, but create a sense of harmony and a support system within the family. And so this is really a win-win policy direction for the Portland Public Schools. So just wanted to highlight a couple of the next steps that we're looking forward to. One is that we really want to help facilitate the early, often, and meaningful engagement of the different communities that are affected by these issues, not just Asian American and Pacific Islander, but all of our communities. We also want to support the direction the school district is taking around really fostering stronger partnerships. We're a member of the Coalition of Communities of Color. We're over 60 organizations, but we also work with a range of other community-based groups, the teachers, the administrators, the parents, and we think that partnership is really the key, especially in this era of declining budgets. And then lastly, we want to help support sort of Debbie's efforts to secure the grant and to really lead towards a good budget decision this spring that puts us on track to launch the programs in the fall of 2014. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, yeah. And thank you for being here.